Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TeamWorks. So, as you guys know, you are in the Community Service and Cultural Diversity phase. Again, the Community Service and Cultural Diversity phase. So I just wanted to remind you why cultural diversity is so important. This activity or this session today has a great emphasis on the cultural diversity. So cultural diversity is really an excellent topic to address at this time. Our students are forming lots of opinions about themselves and the people around them. And you probably recall that from your training. They're trying to fit in, they're trying to figure it out, they're developing, socially. So keep that in mind. So they're forming lots of opinions about themselves and the people around them. So they have this real natural curiosity about the differences. Again, they have this natural curiosity about the differences in appearance and cultural background. So this is when it's really all coming into play. And believe it or not, developmentally, they're able to put cultural and racial differences into perspective. So they can either learn to appreciate the differences or devalue the traits that make them different from other people. So with that said, it's the prime time again for us as mentors to really shape their attitudes about racial and cultural diversity, among other diversities, right? But here's the beautiful thing. Here's something to keep in mind. Most kids, or I shouldn't say most kids, we're all born with that natural sense of justice and fairness. Again, born with that natural sense of justice and fairness. So unless we're taught to be hurtful or cruel, we know that it's wrong to attack others either physically or verbally. So again, unless we're taught to be hurtful or cruel, we know pretty much that it's wrong to attack people physically or verbally. So what do we have to do as mentors? It's pretty simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's just to nurture, again, to nurture that natural love of people. All right, so what is our goal at the end of the day through today's activity is to get our kids to appreciate all kinds of differences, not just racial culture, but all kinds of differences like socioeconomic levels, gender, sexual orientation, disabilities, etc. And wouldn't you say that's an important skill to have in today's diverse society? I would say so. All right, so let's get things rolling. So your question of the day is, do you think your ethnicity will help or hold you back from reaching your goals or dreams? I know it seems a little deep, but you guys should be in a comfortable place with your kids right now where they'll open up and they'll talk about their background. So mentors, don't forget, be open-minded, hear them out, allow them to share, maybe get off their chest some of their challenges or setbacks, and again, maybe you can nurture them or inspire them to push through any challenges or these kind of faulty beliefs that they might have based on their gender, ethnicity, their backgrounds, etc. All right, something to keep in mind. It's a good question of the day to open up the conversation about culture and diversity. Next, we're going to move into our Energizer, Chain of Diversity. Chain of Diversity. And it's a pretty simple activity to facilitate, but it really is to get the conversation going about diversity. So we want you to first engage, so after you've done your great question of the day, and great stimulating conversation, and don't forget, mentors, if the kids want to keep talking for the whole session, go for it, all right? But if the conversation comes to an end, we're now going to talk about diversity. So engage your kids first and foremost in a conversation about similarities and differences among cultures. So you can throw out a couple of cultures, ask them to really think about the similarities or the differences. You can probably have a great conversation on all the different Latin backgrounds and how all the cultures are a little bit different, but a lot, the same. So that's a great way to have a conversation, or maybe with a 6th grade class, the 6th grade student body, the 7th grade student body, the 8th grade student body, etc. All right, so get a conversation going about similarities and differences. Then you're going to pass out 4 strips of colored paper to each student, so 4 strips of colored paper, and then you're going to instruct your students to kind of look around their team, it's team-based, and on one side to write a similarity. So on one side to write a similarity. On the flip side, kind of look around their team and to write a difference. All right, so they're going to complete 4 strips of paper. Again, one side is a similarity, the other side is a difference. So for example, I'm going to write one really quickly. I'm going to pretend I'm in 6th grade. All right. All right. So now for my similarity, I wrote we were all 6th graders. And for my difference, I put that, because I knew my team at this point, that I was born in Puerto Rico and no one else on my team was born in Puerto Rico. All right? So that's just a little example to give you. So when the students are all done filling out their 4 strips of paper, you're simply going to go around in your circle and you're going to ask them to share 2 of their strips, all right, just to keep the conversation going. And mentors, don't forget to ask those follow-up questions, right? So ask those follow-up questions. I'll ask them to, elaborate a little bit more on the similarity or the difference, all right? Once they're done, you're simply going to have the kids start looping them together and they'll glue them. So you'll have everyone start looping them and maybe you can create the chain going around. So maybe someone can first create the chain and simply they're just going to use a glue stick. They're going to glue the ends. And then they're going to, glue it together like so. I've done a poor job of it. And then, and so on and so on. And then you'll have the next student loop theirs between it, yada yada, and you'll keep going on and on and on until you get this beautiful final finished product, all right? So that's what you're going for. You're going for having the kids link all their similarities and differences together so that you conclude the conversation by saying, we all come from different backgrounds, but in many ways we're all similar. All right, so that's your chain of diversity exercise. Now, your main activity is called Parrots, and I don't have carrots for you today, but it's a play on the word carrots, but it's called Parrots. So what I'm going to ask your mentors to do is to come up with a carrot story. So this is all based around carrots. So you're going to get a bag of carrots, right? So you're going to come up with a carrot story because the kids are going to kind of go around and tell a story about a carrot. So mentors, think about that before you come out up to session. But I do have an example for you just to kind of get you going. So if you had a carrot, I'm going to use an orange strip, but this was my carrot and I was going to introduce it to the team. I might say, here I have a carrot, I don't know much about it, but I've never thought much about carrots. I've always taken them for granted. To me, carrots are pretty much alike. Sometimes I wonder if carrots aren't a lot like people. But you might want to give it a little bit more color, be a little more creative. But in essence, you're coming up with the story. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your bag of carrots in front of the room, all right? And you're going to pull 1 carrot, and then you're going to share this great carrot story. Maybe give it a name, some kind of identity, etc. Remember, cultural diversity, so that's what we're going for here. So you're going to give this carrot an identity and tell a nice little story. And then you're going to split your group up into pairs, right? So you'll split your whole team up, give everybody a pair. And then you're going to pass this bag of carrots around, and you're going to ask everyone to pull a carrot, very similar to like what you just did. Have them pull a carrot, and then while they're in their pairs, you're going to give them 5 to 10 minutes to come up with a carrot story. And so you'll have them, and we have it all outlined for you. What's your carrot's name? Where did it grow up? Does it have siblings? What hobbies does it have? And what does it love? What does it hate? It probably hates being cooked, etc. But anyway, so they'll come up with a carrot story. You'll give them time to create those stories. And then when they're done with those carrot stories, you're going to have, go back around your circle and have the students then introduce my carrot. This is my carrot, etc., etc., etc. This is his story. Right? Once everyone's done sharing, you will collect the carrots back, place them. You can either place them in the bag or just bundle them up on the table, all right? So you want to have that visual, so you'll have all these carrots sitting there. And then you're going to ask the kids to come up in their pairs and try to identify their carrot. All right, so it's going to be very difficult for them to identify their carrot. So then you'll have some closing remarks, of course, because the carrots are going to look all similar when they're all bunched together. And here will be your closing remark. Perhaps carrots are a lot like people. Sometimes we lump people of a group all together when we think they're all alike. What we're really saying is that we didn't have time or think it important enough to get to know each person individually. But when we do, we find out that everyone is different and special in some way, just like our carrot friends. So that's how you will conclude our cultural diversity activity. So, what are my closing quotes? You know I love closing with some great quotes, so here's 2 great ones for you. When we lose the right to be different, we lose the privilege to be free. All right? When we lose the right to be different, we lose the right to be free. And minds are much like parachutes. They only function when they're open. This is Will signing